On a Tuesday. Hope everybody's having a great start to your day. We're about to have a great conversation really about Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill and some words that were said about him on ESPN yesterday that were very disrespectful towards the Titans starting quarterback, who has been phenomenal and nothing really short of great ever since he took over as the Titans starter about 2 years ago in mid-October of the 2019 season. So we're here to talk about Tannehill. We're trying to find out really what the situation is with Tannehill. And the question that was posed on ESPN was, what is the Titans' ceiling? And that's how they got to the debate about what Ryan Tannehill is compared to some other AFC quarterbacks. Zach is going to go off on one of these comparisons that we'll talk about here. Then I've got to take about how what this entire conversation really means and what actually matters when talking about Ryan Tannehill versus the other top quarterbacks in the AFC, because frankly, there's a lot of really good quarterbacks in the AFC, especially with Joe Burrow on the rise. So we'll have that conversation. We'll play you the video from Stephen A. Smith on ESPN, and then we'll talk about that question that we'll get to you guys. And then we have to call out the dumbest network trying to talk about the Titans. That's Fox Sports 1, FS1. They have made so many mistakes in the last week talking about the Titans that we've got to call them out and figure out how can they fix their issues when talking about the Tennessee Titans, because they're going to have to continue to talk about the Tennessee Titans throughout the season. And it is Tuesday, so we've got Tuesday sports trivia. Looking forward to that to wrap up this show as we do every Tuesday at the end. So Zach, welcome in. Hope your day is off to a good start.
Yeah, sports trivia today, NFL 2000 to 2009. There's some softballs, but I think there are a couple of tough ones that we'll have to kind of navigate through.
I like that era.
I wasn't going to put us in 1970. That would be tough.
We had some like 1920 stuff like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Luke and I went 7 and 10. So actually pretty
7 of 10.
Yeah.
So we are 4 straight weeks of 7 and 3. Is that right?
Yeah, and which is not where we need to be.
No, we need to be up one notch, but that's what it is. So
we'll dive into that at the end of the show. We are broadcasting live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and on Facebook. We got you covered right here on A to Z Sports. If you're on Twitter, please retweet the broadcast. We need to pop up your Twitter followers timeline. That would help us out a great deal. Distribute the show that way. YouTube, what's going on, YouTubers? More people are watching on YouTube, which is absolutely great. We see those comments fly in. So YouTube is a great community. Subscribe to our channel. How you do that? Just go to YouTube, search A to Z Sports. You'll see 2 different channels, A to Z Sports Nashville and A to Z Sports Dallas. You can get both of them subscription, or if you're a Titans fan, you can just give the Nashville one. But subscribe and watch and ingest our content that way. It's a great way to do that. And Facebook, what's going on, Facebookers? More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes as you guys do. Bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing, as we say on this show. Let's get this party started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by BetMGM. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Also get us on Instagram and TikTok. Got to thank our sponsors, because they truly do make it happen for our show and for our business, and they help out you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the area. Simply go to renterswarehouse.com to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, 1 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free. If you need a new car, hit up our friends at WilsonCountyHyundai.com in Lebanon. Wilson County Hyundai, help them get in the right ride for you. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. So Zach, yesterday kind of kicked off this national media Titans week, because when the Titans beat, or when any team beats 2 of the best teams from their conference in back-to-back weeks, the national media will talk about them. And we had a question from a viewer yesterday asking, why do we care? Why do we care if the national media talks about the Titans or not? And the reason that you should care is because why you do care is because you like to see your feelings about your team being validated by the big talking heads on the big networks. But so many times the big networks get it so wrong when talking about the Tennessee Titans, and they say this blasphemous things about whatever type of conversation about the Tennessee Titans. We think the national media is caught up about Derrick Henry and that conversation of him being the best running back in the NFL, but they have not caught up on Ryan Tannehill. They're still viewing Ryan Tannehill as Miami Dolphins Ryan Tannehill, not what he's done the last 2 years of being Titans starting quarterback. So now we go to Stephen A. Smith, when on ESPN yesterday morning, they were asking, what is the ceiling for the Tennessee Titans? And Stephen A. Smith on ESPN answered it because of Ryan Tannehill.
Tennessee Titans are going to be a difficult out. Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all, stop the presses.
You guys talk about the Steelers?
Well, Michael said they could go anywhere.
He
said AFC Championship
what are
game
you
and
gonna say
Super Bowl.
next? The sky's blue. They going out, all right? They going to win the division crown. They might win a playoff game. They might win a playoff game, and then they going out.
Why?
Listen, because, let me tell you why. Because even though Derrick Henry is that dude, make no mistake about it. And I know they got Julio Jones there, with A.J. Brown had a big-time game yesterday.
You're going to come back to Ryan Tannehill.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to Ryan Tannehill.
Man, I'm going to bed.
I tried to tell
sleep.
him. We're not asking Ryan to throw 40, 50 times a game.
Did I let you speak?
Go ahead.
Okay, let me speak, all right? Here's the deal, Dan Orlovsky, Michael Irvin.
This is a fight you don't want to get in.
Hold on, let me tell you why. It's a very simple thing for me. Tell me a matchup in the AFC where they don't have a better quarterback.
Tell me a matchup in the AFC where they play one-on-one.
Time out. You give me Ryan Tannehill, I give you Josh Allen. You give me Ryan Tannehill, I give you Lamar Jackson. You give me Ryan Tannehill, hell, I give you Joe Burrow.
Talk to him.
You give me Ryan Tannehill. I mean, him and Derek Carr might be on par. Okay, I'm just saying. And then, of course, I'm assuming Patrick Mahomes is going to be up in the mix. All I'm trying to say to you is this: the number 3 rushing attack, which
Tennessee's going to play this on a loop.
Listen, the number 3 rushing attack, which is the Tennessee Titans, and Derrick Henry is my brother. I love that brother. Okay, right. And I love the weapons they got, but I come back to Ryan Tannehill. And what I'm saying to you, Michael Irvin, and what I'm saying to you, Dan Orlovsky, is that at some point, it's going to come down to Ryan. They're going to say Ryan Tannehill saved the day. Save the day.
All right, my brother Derrick Henry is my brother. All right, Zach, that not the easiest thing to listen to, but whenever you put Stephen A. Smith and Michael Irvin around the same table, it's going to be a lot of yelling. And a lot of people can say that about us. Whenever you put Austin and Zach on the video stream, there's going to be a lot of yelling. So, all right. So, Zach, I will let you have the floor on your reaction, your initial reaction to what Stephen A. Smith said there about Ryan Tannehill.
Well, it is first take. Everybody's trying to have a take, right? Take this, take that. And the issue is, and it comes down to the overall problem with national media. And I'll tell you, 2 things that Stephen A. got wrong. The first thing is he doesn't watch the games. Like, he doesn't watch the Tennessee Titans. He has too much responsibility to watch the NBA, the Knicks, the NFL in general. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the performance of what Ryan Tannehill has been doing over the last several years. And so that is why he is coming out the way that he is. The other problem that Stephen A. has, and he recognized how good friends he was, or whatever the hell he was saying with Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry doesn't give a damn about Stephen A. Smith.
They're literally the opposite personalities.
Yes.
Like that. The fact that he does have Derrick Henry matters, right? Like, it makes quarterbacks better when you have better players around you. And they have the best running back in the NFL. And Ryan Tannehill would tell you this. He has reaped the benefit of Derrick Henry. But here is the one overall point that I would like to make to counter Stephen A. And this is a problem because he doesn't watch the Tennessee Titans. He tried to compare Ryan Tannehill to Derek Carr. If you look at Derek Carr's stats, he's got 4,000-yard seasons. He's got a bunch of touchdowns. But the dude can't make the playoffs. He cannot get to the tournament. So if you want to compare, Ryan Tannehill has been to an AFC championship game. You know who hasn't been to an AFC championship game? His brother, Lamar Jackson, who he's trying to sit there and put up against him. Joe Burrow has not sniffed an AFC championship. Here's the issue. Ryan Tannehill does things not only with his arm and his mind above the shoulders, but Ryan Tannehill is very efficient with his athleticism and running ability. In 2020, he had 7 rushing touchdowns. Already this year, through 7 games, he has 3. That's something that Stephen A. Smith is not watching. And it is, and I will say this, it is his fault. It is Stephen A. Smith and all the other yahoos that we're about to talk about. If your job is to talk sports, you have to talk about them intelligently. If you're a beat reporter and your focus is one team, you have to talk about them intelligently. But Stephen A. Smith doesn't watch the Tennessee Titans. Don't talk about them if you don't watch them, because Ryan Tannehill has been playing at an elite level for several years now since he came to Tennessee. Derek Carr has not.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson has had his difficulties at times. Josh Allen just got beat by Ryan Tannehill's led team like a week ago. Like all of these, they just beat the brakes off of Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert is a nice, sexy story, but they've never been in the playoffs. They've never been in a win or lose and go home situation. Stephen A. Smith has got to watch these games. And the last thing I'll say, Austin, what pisses me off about that clip more than anything, it's Dan Orlovsky's smile and Stephen A. Smith's smile as he's doing a take that he doesn't truly know about. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of about 3 or 4 years ago when Lamar Ball was in the news and he's talking about beating Michael Jordan with that dumbass smirk on his face. That was how he was speaking. When you have a smirk on your face when you're actually trying to talk intelligently about football or whatever topic you are, it completely discredits you. That is my issue.
I mean, I disagree with the smirk thing. I get what you're saying, but I think you could smile and deliver a good take. But anyway,
I don't think so. Not the smirk that we saw.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so the best thing about that video was that Stephen A. Smith rhymed Derek Carr and on par. That was the only good thing that Stephen A. Smith did, because it was a great entertainment value from it. But look, it's Derek Carr is not as good as Ryan Tannehill. We know that. We're about to talk about the other quarterbacks that Stephen A. Smith listed, and I see Teron Davenport here in the comments from ESPN.com. What's up, TD? Saying, stop, Ryan Tannehill isn't as good as Lamar, but I do think the Titans can win with him. We'll talk about this. And TD, I think I have a take, TD, that I think you can get on board with here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and ask the question, because I always want to get to it, because let's ask it. Where does Ryan Tannehill stack up among these AFC quarterbacks that Stephen A. Smith listed? In order, Stephen A. Smith listed Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr. In order, that's how Stephen A. listed them. So where does Ryan Tannehill stack up with those quarterbacks he listed? But real quick, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know where to go to, who to trust when it comes to your health and your recovery. And the Bone and Joint Institute, they streamline the process, make it easy on you, but they also do fantastic work. And they have over a dozen doctors there at their facility that specialize in nearly anything that can go wrong with an injury. So boneandjointtn.org is where to go.
BetMGM, code ATOZ Sports. You can win some money. Last night, I finally, for once, had a good NBA night with some player props getting me over the edge, plus DK Metcalf with the over 58.5 yards, that 84-yard touchdown. Woo! That made my night a lot easier right at the start. Thank you, BetMGM, for paying me out there. Code ATOZ Sports. Download the app today.
All right, so the question here is, where does Ryan Tannehill stack up with the other quarterbacks that Stephen A. Smith listed in that video? The quarterbacks were Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Carr. So Mark Jones in all caps screams Tannehill's better than Lamar. We'll talk about that in a second. Scott says Tannehill's a better passer than Lamar Jackson. Brandon doesn't believe him in Derek Carr. Durrell says third. Dom would put Tannehill over Lamar Jackson. Ricochet Ray says Tannehill is great when surrounded by the right weapons. Austin said this in the past. So many other people have said that in the past. Roderick says he's top 5 in this conversation, which is
so let's get two things out of the way real quick, because I think we can all move past them. 1 and 2, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. Josh Allen's playing better than Patrick Mahomes right now, but I think Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback.
I think Patrick Mahomes is probably playing the worst of all the quarterbacks listed.
Right, but he is a better quarterback. His defense isn't helping him. This is a team sport, guys, right? Like, you can't get mad at Ryan Tannehill for having Derrick Henry on his team. You also can't get mad at Patrick Mahomes for having Tyreek Hill. So right now, Josh Allen is playing better than Patrick Mahomes, but in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Josh Allen. We've seen enough of that. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't want to, nobody's going to, you'd be dumb to write off Patrick Mahomes because of how the Chiefs have played in the first 7 games of the season.
Right. So the conversation is 3 because Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. That's how I would rank them in my personal opinion based on quarterback, right? That's what we're talking about.
So here's how I answer it. I think, because again, the quarterbacks we're talking about, we've got Allen and Mahomes, right? Then there's Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, because I think we all agree that Tannehill is better than Derek Carr. That's not the conversation. He's better than Derek Carr. But Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow's in year 2. He is on fire right now. Jamar Chase, his college buddy, is lighting it up and is basically going to wrap up the rookie of the year on offense if he just stays healthy. And the Bengals, newsflash, are number 1 in the AFC. So can you put Joe Burrow up there yet? I mean, he's just lighting. He threw 400 yards against the Ravens in a game on Sunday that nobody expected really the Bengals to win like that. Maybe the Bengals could have beat the Ravens, but not blow them out and run away from them in the second half. Then there's Lamar Jackson, who we've talked about some. He had a great night against the Colts throwing the football. But other than that, the rushing yards are there. He's dynamic, but he's inconsistent accurately down the field. And that has gotten him beat in key moments in the past. So I honestly put Lamar Jackson ahead of Ryan Tannehill. And it gets to my overall point is that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson can all go do it themselves. And we have seen them plenty of times doing it themselves. We have not really seen that often or at all.
We have. We not often, but we have. In Oakland, that was Ryan Tannehill game. You remember that?
When Derrick Henry had 103 yards rushing?
Yeah, but look at the passing yards and the touchdowns by Ryan Tannehill.
I'm not anti-Ryan Tannehill.
I know. You just brought up Ever, and I just gave you an example. He has done it before.
There has been one game where Ryan Tannehill has been the Titans starter and Derrick Henry has not been available. It was against the Saints in like week 16 of 2019 in a game that literally mattered nothing when it came to playoff predictions or standing. So Derrick Henry sat out. Ryan Tannehill played well enough to win that game and beat a good Saints team, but things didn't go his way. Khalif Raymond catch fumble, should have been an illegal hit, whatever it might be, and the Titans lost that game. So I just think, and
I'll bring up Buffalo last year. You know, Derrick Henry had like under 60 yards in that game. That was a Ryan Tannehill-led team.
But Derrick Henry's still there. And what did I say yesterday about the Chiefs selling out to stop Derrick Henry, which you can say that 86 yards on 29 carries is stopping Derrick Henry for 3 yards a carry and kept him out of the end zone running the football. But what did I say? In the 7 play-action passes off of Derrick Henry in the first half yesterday, Tannehill went 6 for 6 for 119 and ran for a touchdown. Derrick Henry is still impacting and helping Ryan Tannehill. But again,
I agree with your point. I want to give Tannehill the credit he deserves. Lamar and the other quarterback you were referencing,
Joe Burrow.
And Burrow, they have put, even this year with Burrow, has put their team on their backs more often.
Gaudy numbers. And Ryan Tannehill doesn't have gaudy numbers this year. He hasn't thrown a bunch of touchdowns. Now, that's been because of other factors like Julio and AJ missing games, and he's having Nick Westbrook-Akine to throw to and Chester Rogers, right? So but Dom brings up, why is having Henry an indictment on Tannehill? It's not an indictment on Tannehill, but when you're splitting hairs about saying who's a better quarterback than the other, you have to take in the full context. Because what does Lamar Jackson not have? His like top 5 running backs because they all got hurt. And so Lamar Jackson doesn't have that. So that I put Tannehill ahead of Joe Burrow right now just because we haven't seen Joe Burrow do this consistently enough. I really like Joe Burrow, and I think he's going to be damn good. But I do think that right now I put Lamar Jackson 3rd and Tannehill 4th just because Lamar Jackson has more weight on his shoulders than Ryan Tannehill. And I see this comment too. Alex, is Austin literally arguing that Tannehill can't win a game? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there is more pressure on Lamar Jackson for the Ravens to win a game than there is pressure on Ryan Tannehill for the Titans to win a game. That's the difference in what I'm saying. I'm splitting hairs here, but that's where I have Ryan Tannehill.
I do agree with you. Lamar Jackson is a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. It is very, very close. And I think the main argument, and I think here's what hurts Ryan Tannehill's case, in my opinion. We talk about athletic ability and ability to make plays. Lamar Jackson is better than Ryan Tannehill. But before, Ryan Tannehill had the experience of beating Lamar Jackson in Baltimore and going to an AFC championship game. It's where you get at the end of the season that matters, right? Jim Kelly and Dan Marino are known for not winning Super Bowls. Like, that's what it is. What is your resume?
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, because we all watched that game. I don't know if Stephen A. Smith did. He probably didn't. God knows Chris Broussard didn't. And Nick Wright sure as hell didn't either. They didn't watch the game last year. And what hurts Tannehill's resume is his lack of execution when in need in the wild card game last year against Baltimore.
Yep.
Who made the play? Lamar Jackson made the play.
Yep.
On 2nd and 7, rushing for all those yards. He made the play when he was down 10-0, scrambling for 47 yards and a touchdown. Ryan Tannehill had the opportunity to, and unfortunately, Corey Davis was not available for some reason, and the interception that was intended for Khalif Raymond fell into the hands of the opponent, and that sealed the deal. That was Ryan Tannehill not excelling his level of play in the time of need. So to wrap that up, Tannehill had that over Lamar because Lamar had struggled in the playoffs. Lamar snatched that back last year in the playoffs, and I think that gives him the edge, in my opinion.
And Jarrell brings up what I was about to say. So Jarrell, bravo, air clap to you, golf clap to you, Jarrell. What is Ryan Tannehill and the Titans record versus Patrick Mahomes? 2-1. What's the record against Lamar Jackson? 2-1. Now both those losses were in the playoffs, so that holds weight. But Tannehill did beat Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, and the Titans in the playoffs for one of those. What is Tannehill and the Titans record against Josh Allen? 2-0 in the last 2 years. What is Tannehill's record against Derek Carr? 1-0. They won out there in Oakland a couple of years ago. And the only quarterback that Tannehill has not beaten on this list is Joe Burrow, which was the worst game that they played a year ago. And we know kind of what that is. So again, Tannehill has been able to beat these other quarterbacks. And I'm not going to say he's outplayed the other quarterbacks, but Ryan Tannehill has done enough for the Titans to win that game. And I always say this about Ryan Tannehill in the divisional round of the playoffs against the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson might have put up 450 or 500 yards of offense that night, but Ryan Tannehill's dimes to Jonnu Smith and Khalif Raymond got the Titans up 2 touchdowns early in that game that allowed for Henry to bust off for the rest of the game and for the Titans to run away with that, right?
And that's the recipe. That's the recipe that we saw on Sunday. That's the recipe that happened in Baltimore. The Titans know the recipe. They've just got to get the ingredients and cook it properly. They have the pieces. And look, one of the best characteristics of the Mike Vrabel era is more times than not. Now, they lost last year, but the best characteristic of a Mike Vrabel-led team is that when times get tough against big-time opponents, the Titans usually show out and win. They find a way to win, whether it's gritty or dominating. They dominated that Ravens game in Baltimore. They dominated the Bills last year. They just dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. that is tough to do when you're talking about that ilk of the AFC.
Yeah.
That's a great characteristic. Ryan Tannehill, though, has got to put it together this year. And you know what? The benefit of Patrick Mahomes not playing as well is huge for this AFC. It makes the road easier. You don't have to go into Arrowhead, which is tough to do. We saw that 2 years ago. Going into Arrowhead, the Bills couldn't do it last year, and the Titans couldn't do it the year before. That is a hard environment. If you may have to go to Buffalo, but that's what the Titans, I said it weeks ago, Austin. It is realistic that the Titans have home field advantage and the number 1 seed in the AFC. And I've said, gone on record, if they do, I think they'll go to the Super Bowl. If they can get the 1 seed, I think the Tennessee Titans go to the Super Bowl. That is my prediction. It has been for weeks, for the beginning of the season. They have the makeup. They have the team. They got to get healthy throughout the course of the year, but that's every NFL franchise. This is a big opportunity because you've taken care of your business the last 2 weeks. Now, you got a big game on Sunday against Indy to put a nail in a AFC South coffin. But, man, you got to like how they're playing and how Ryan Tannehill is playing.
No doubt. And Donald brings up my next take. He says, I like how Zach and Austin got mad at Stephen A's take to only agree with him. We're not agreeing with him because we thought that it was ridiculous that Stephen A said that he is on par with Derek Carr. That was the egregious
Donald.
take. So
Donald.
here's
not
what
get this twisted.
Hold on. All right. Here's where I'm going to say go next, because this is my overall feeling. There's a reason, and the Titans quarterback situation is completely different than any of these other we're talking about. I want to get into that next, but first let me tell you guys about Renters Warehouse and renterswarehouse.com. They're the professional landlords in the Nashville area. If you want to get your retirement plan ready, get that long-term equity, start that long-term wealth, renterswarehouse.com is where to go. They're the professional landlords. So instead of selling your house, you jump into the world of rent estate, but you're not the landlord. They're the landlord. You just get the money in your account every month. That's the best thing to do. And it sets you up for a retirement plan with that mailbox money coming in every month. Simply go to renterswarehouse.com.
A to Z Sports, what are you doing this Sunday? Well, come hang out. We're going to be live from Mill Creek's Tap Room. The Titans are playing in Indy. It is an awesome brewery. Come out. We'll be broadcasting live. It's a cool atmosphere. Mill Creek Tap Room. You can Google it and you can just go right there and enjoy the game. They've got their burger. I'm telling you, I've eaten a lot of burgers in my day. I think it's the best burger in Nashville. I'm putting Mill Creek's burger, the singular best, the Smashville burger is the best burger in Nashville. Paired with a Mill Creek beer and a Titans win, you don't get much better than that if you're a Titans fan. Come hang out with us this Sunday at Mill Creek Tap Room.
All right, so here's my overall feeling, is that we're talking about Ryan Tannehill, and Stephen A. Smith is why we're doing this, because Stephen A. Smith, when he was talking about and asked the question, what's the Titans ceiling? He was saying that they're going to be bounced in the playoffs. They might win a playoff game. They're going to win the AFC South, but they're going to be bounced because Ryan Tannehill is not as good as Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, and he's on par with Derek Carr. That was the initial take from Stephen A. Smith. Here's why that doesn't really matter, is because when you look at those quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, Joe Burrow, Ryan Tannehill has, I think, the best supporting cast of those quarterbacks. Now, that's saying a lot because the Chiefs have a track team on the outside. We know how good Stephon Diggs is. Cole Beasley is really good as a second wide receiver, and they've got a good tight end with Dawson Knox, and there's a bunch of other things. But it's different because none of those other quarterbacks have a running game like Derrick Henry. Really, Joe Burrow is the one that has the strongest running game with Joe Mixon out of these guys.
And they use him. They run Mixon. They do. Zach Taylor has done I've watched all the Bengals games. Zach Taylor has done a phenomenal job with utilizing. Joe Mixon got the new contract. He's kind of coming into his prime, as they say, as a running back, and they're utilizing him very well. Derrick Henry's an outlier, but you're absolutely right.
because look, Lamar Jackson, with the injuries to the backfield, I know they've got Le'Veon Bell and some others that are running well. Like Tyson is playing, out of his mind right now compared to what we expected from him. But Lamar Jackson is basically a one-man show. Like it all revolves around Lamar Jackson. We know Patrick Mahomes is a one-man show because of what we watched, and he was the Chiefs' leading rusher against the Titans. Patrick Mahomes was. Josh Allen, because of the lack of a consistent running back, is a one-man show for the Buffalo Bills. And really, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, like I know they put up numbers, but it's not to the level of Tannehill and Henry or Burrow and Mixon. And so I think why it doesn't matter as much to the conversation of like, how far can the Titans go with Ryan Tannehill? It's because they have Derrick Henry. It's because they have the potency of the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. Their 1-2 punch of quarterback running back is better than everybody else's 1-2 punch of quarterback running back. And I don't know if you can really disagree with me. That because of what the play action pass does, Ryan Tannehill's downfield accuracy. I'm not even bringing up that he has A.J. Brown and Julio Jones and some other solid weapons on the outside. It's about the quarterback running back. The best battery of the NFL is in Nashville. And so
they have one bit of competition, and that is Dak and Zeke.
Because we're talking about the AFC.
But you said the NFL. No, I listened to you.
Fair.
I'm clarifying. We have to be honest. We can't, there's no bias in here, but Dak and Zeke are up there. I think that is a good battle of better quarterback running back duo because Derrick Henry's better than Zeke, but I think you would say Dak is better than
fantastic.
Tannehill.
And Dak is playing at an MVP level.
So I bring up the point to be truthful.
And I know Darren Waller is with Derek Carr. I'm leaving out the weapons that you're throwing to because you got to have the quarterback that can get it to the weapons. I'm talking about with the quarterback and the running back, the best duo I think in the league is in Nashville. I'm not that big of a Zeke guy. I know he's kind of turned it on as of late, but Zeke still has fumbling issues where Derrick Henry
has never fumbled this year. That's wrong.
He has had fumbling issues. Derrick Henry he's fumbled a couple times, but for the amount of times that he touched the ball, he does not have fumbling issues. And so I think I really do think when you're talking about the AFC pecking order, the Titans are Super Bowl contenders out of the AFC because of the combination of Tannehill and Henry. It's not just about how Tannehill stacks up against the other quarterbacks in the conference.
Oh, they are. Again, the whole issue, and we're about to find out more of this issue, is that these damn national analysts don't watch the effing games. It pisses me off more than anything in the world. It's like me trying to host a Bachelor show and not watching the actual Bachelor. Oh, Jake and Jimmy want to go on a date with Kelsey. That's about all they know. They don't watch the games. They don't watch them in their entirety. And the problem is now when the Titans are actually making waves, it's like anything. You've got to be ready for the moment. And these national analysts are not ready for the moment. They're getting caught off guard by the Titans having success and beating the Bills and the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. They don't know how to talk about them.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off because they get paid millions and millions of dollars to be correct and to be knowledgeable and to be informed. And they sound like dumbasses.
Yes.
They just do.
And we're about to get to it, Greg.
God,
we're about to get to it there, Mark. And Tehran agrees, and that's why TD needs more TV time. TD on the TV needs to happen a lot more often.
Yeah, I'd rather, you know why? I'd rather have Tehran Davenport tell me straight facts, homie, because I know he's at the freaking game than Stephen A. Smith watching, MSG, his Knicks, see what they're going to do. And then go on the television the next day and act like a clown. And that's what these yahoos are doing. And I hate it. ESPN and FS1 and all these big networks are setting their guys up for failure, non-success, because they don't have the boots on the ground guys talking about the team. God, man, my blood pressure is boiling. I could cook pasta with my blood right now on how much this pisses me off. And we hadn't even ran the damn clips.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to just the absolute garbage. Oh, Kyle. Oh my God. why Kyle had to infiltrate this show, because Kyle was the guy in my mentions the other night that said that current health Carson Wentz is better than Ryan Tannehill, which was the dumbest thing, and which led to me to say that doodle in Kyle's profile picture has more football acumen than Kyle actually does if he believes that Carson Wentz is better than Ryan Tannehill. And it's not 2017 anymore, bro. That was a long time ago. And you can't even say that Carson Wentz at full health is even a realistic possibility because he hasn't
never
been
full health.
Because he hasn't, and even when he was in 2017, he wasn't full health.
Hey, big game on Sunday. Kyle versus Austin Sunday game. That's going to be a big one.
Oh, gosh. And Scott says, what the hell was he smoking? Apollo's right. Where's your stress straw, Zach? You really just need the stress straw. Yeah, you can go search for your stress straw. Yeah, I don't know. You lost it, which makes sense of you got it?
Don't doubt me. Do not doubt me. Thank you. Who's that? Who said that?
Who said what?
The stress straw.
Somebody did. I can't find it anymore. Apollo Dyson.
Apollo, you're getting the love of the show.
There you go. For bringing up Zach's stress
show.
All right. So let's get to these terrible takes on Fox Sports 1. And you guys are all going to have a hell of a time just roasting these guys like I just roasted Kyle and propping up his doodle. But anyway, Zach, tell us first about Wilson County Hyundai.
I can take a break from my stress straw because you know what relaxes me more than anything? Sitting in that Hyundai Palisade. You got the cool air, and if it's wintertime, you got those seats making your buns toasty, driving through wherever you need to go in the 2021 Palisade. Man, relaxation at its best. And it's got third row seats. You can store anything you want to do. It's a superb SUV. Your wife been driving around that minivan for a couple of years. Upgrade her this Christmas and this holiday season. Go to wilsoncountyhyundai.com. You can test drive them. They got them on the lot. We were there a couple of weeks ago. They can order them. They can make sure that you have your perfect make and model and make sure it's a Hyundai from Wilson County Hyundai.
All right, don't forget, download the BetMGM app and use our code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first deposit. Take advantage of that. I'm sorry, guys. The Titans are no longer underdogs against the Colts. I think we moved that line yesterday. I truly believe so. I truly believe the tweet and the conversation and the gaining of the tweet moved the Titans from +1.5 to Titans -1 at BetMGM on the road at Indy. But don't forget, download the app, use that code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first bet after your first deposit. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years old or must be present in Tennessee. And for gambling problem support, call Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. All right, are you ready? Which one do we want to play first? Which big mistake on Fox Sports 1 do we want to play first? Because we got two new ones, and then we've got the granddaddy of them all from last week.
Go to Nick Wright and his buddy Broussard, who I don't even know if he has figured out where Buffalo is yet. But play him because, you get fanboy on there like Nick Wright in his basement. It looked like his 8th grade basement during COVID where he had all of his Chiefs pennants, like he's the biggest Chiefs fan. Going into this week, prior to Sunday, this is what Nick Wright had to say in predicting how the game would go. Womp womp.
Who tends to play his best late, and by the time they are most, he's usually taking over the game, the Titans are going to be forced to throw the football because it's going to be 31-21. Because they're going to be trailing by more than a score. So this is not about my faith in the Chiefs being able to stop Derrick Henry. It's about my conviction that the Chiefs will score 4 out of 5 the first 5 times they have the ball. They'll score touchdowns 4 of those 5 possessions because the Titans defense is so bad.
Problem is the Chiefs didn't even score 4 or 5 points.
I don't know what's worse, the Chiefs defense or Nick Wright looking like he's trying to be a supporting cast member in a Shakespeare play. I mean, I don't know.
Mixed with the Mafia movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So
he got a
like,
pinky ring on. So
yeah.
this man thinks he's a very important person.
Yes,
Anybody who's got a pinky ring, I'll be honest, walk away. Just walk the other direction, because he's a goof or he's a mafia guy and you don't want to get involved in him.
Maybe it's like a modern Shakespeare play with a mafia twist. I don't know that. I mean, I would watch it. I don't know if Nick Wright's going to be on it, but anyway. So look, he was flat out wrong. And to be honest, look, if he was wrong about what would happen if the Titans are down by 10 points in the second half, because when the Titans are down by 10 points in the second half, they don't stop running the football at Derrick Henry. They continue to run the football at Derrick Henry. AKA, look at the Seattle game in week 2 when they were down by 14 points and 2 touchdowns for a lot of that second half, and they ran Derrick Henry to get back into that game. And also, the last time they beat the Chiefs in Nashville, they were in the same type of situation. So he was wrong there. But I can't blame him for thinking, the Chiefs were going to score 4 times in their first 5 possessions. Hell, I picked the over. I said on the pregame show, I thought it was going to be a shootout, and I picked the Chiefs to win. So whenever you do predictions, you look bad when you're wrong. He was wrong in his philosophy about the Titans, but he just didn't think about how bad the Chiefs defense would be as well, and how turnover prone Mahomes has been so far this year.
That's why I would say to you and Nick Wright, you got to be right. Don't be wrong.
Nick Wright has a good and bad last name, because you can play off of that so much and make extra money off of his name being Nick Wright and Nick Wrong. Like, there's just so many good things you can do to make extra money.
Let's go shuffle on over to Studio J right down the road at Fox Sports Last. And let's hear this goofball, Shannon Sharpe, try to talk about the Tennessee Titans defense.
What about defensively? Because remember last year, 2 years ago, they tried to sign Jadeveon Clowney. Mm-hmm. Didn't pan out. They tried to sign Vic Beasley. Yep. Didn't pan out. They couldn't generate pressure. Now you bring in Bud Dupree, strip sack. You Greg Landry, who's doing a great job. Mm-hmm. So now they can pressure him. So the quarterback, you've rendered the quarterback off.
Oh, God. I mean, Greg Landry. I mean, Honor Landry was close than that. I mean, good Lord.
He would have been better calling him Greg Hardy. I think that's where his mind went. I think he went to Greg Hardy.
How do you go to Greg Hardy?
I don't know.
People are asking, who is Greg Landry? I'll tell you who Greg Landry is. Greg Landry was the 11th overall pick in the 1968 NFL draft out of UMass. He was a quarterback for the Lions, the Baltimore Colts. Then he went on and played for the Chicago Blitz, the Arizona Wranglers, and then came back to the Chicago Bears. And he was actually a coach for the Bears a lot throughout the 80s, and then the Lions in the 90s, and also with the Illinois Fighting Illini. So Greg Landry was actually an old NFL quarterback and coach, and who is currently 74 years old, born in New Hampshire. So that's who Greg Landry is, not the guy who has 7.5 sacks for the Tennessee Titans this year.
I get the mistakes. Mistakes happen. We're human. It's just, you can't stack your mistakes, and that network is stacking up. You got Broussard.
Oh, I've got Broussard.
Play a damn Broussard. This is Fox Sports 1. We now have 3 out of, I don't know, maybe there are 12 analysts that say and claim they could talk about the NFL. Just botch job. Play Broussard figuring out Buffalo and where Taylor Lewan plays.
Happened on the play. Yes, Josh Allen Smith or Josh Allen slipped, but it got blown up on the left side because of the pressure of Tennessee. I wonder why. Could it be because Buffalo's Pro Bowl left tackle, Taylor Lewan, was injured? If he's there, maybe that doesn't happen, but he's out. So you got a second stringer that Josh Allen's trying to go behind, and you see he got destroyed. Dawkins, whoever that is. All right, so that's the problem. You're not good in the red zone overall.
I wonder why. It just makes me laugh so hard every time. He thought he was so on it. He knew it. He cracked the Da Vinci Code, and he was just so far from what actually was going on.
I honestly think after watching that, that's probably maybe the 15th to 16th time I've watched that clip. What becomes more and more entertaining is not him with conviction telling me that Taylor Lewan plays for the Buffalo Bills. It is the fact that he calls Josh Allen Smith I just think of James Wilk Booth. Like, he's calling him by his full name and it's completely wrong. It's just a botch job. And when you're on national television, you got to be on it every single day because the internet never lies and somebody's going to get you. And he's gotten got.
I think of John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. That's what I think of whenever he comes up with Josh Allen Smith. That's what I go to. But anyway, so look, we can quickly rank the worst to the least worst. I think the Shannon Sharpe's is the least bad of these three clips because he had a name slip. And obviously,
and he thought about it. Like, he stumbled. His brain didn't work properly for a half a second. And we will give him grace for that. There's some other things that I can't give him grace for, like some of the things that he wears and says. But I agree with you, Austin. That is the least worst.
I also don't know if he might personally know Greg Landry. I mean, they both played in the NFL, and Greg Landry was a coach in the NFL. He was an offensive coach for the Bears in the late 80s and for the Lions in the mid 90s. So there's a high possibility that at somewhere along the way that Greg Landry and Shannon Sharpe have crossed paths, right? So that's not that. Jay says he had a brain fart, and that happens a lot, when we're on live, whatever. So that's the least bad. I think the second least bad is Nick Wright, just because he was wrong about a prediction. Now, he was just so far off that it just sounds bad, but he was wrong about
his fanboy came out.
Yes. And that's where you can't allow that to happen. You can't allow that to happen and then take yourself as seriously as Nick Wright does. Now, there are some situations on national media where, like, Mike Greenberg is a massive Jets fan, but Mike Greenberg doesn't let his Jets fandom affect his ability to give predictions or to say his opinion.
Well, yeah, because the Jets suck and he's always complaining.
But Mike Greenberg also leans into it, right? And Nick Wright acts so damn serious all the time that he doesn't lean into it.
My issue with Nick Wright is nobody knew he was a Chiefs fan until they got to the Super Bowl the first year. Like, he came out of nowhere. I just looked. He is from Kansas City, so he's got that going for him. But when Nick Wright, he jumped on the scene years prior to the Chiefs being good with Patrick Mahomes, and now all of a sudden he's Tomahawk Wright. Like, I just don't get it. Like, that I think also kind of irritates me because it came out of nowhere. Now, I don't watch him consistently, but man, he has taken a turn for the worst. He used to be on Houston radio, and he's had a good climb to where he is. But you got to be good. You got to have takes, but they have to be calculated. And you can't sound stupid like that, especially when you're talking about your hometown team.
Yeah. Now, the Chris Broussard is an all-time gaffe. It's just an all-time bad.
It's not watching the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not knowing the football team. But more importantly, I remember, Austin, you brought it up. That dude was asleep because Taylor Lewan was on a stretcher for at least 2.5 minutes. Like, if you watched the game, it's like I watch Monday Night Football. I can tell you what happens. Like last night, Geno Smith just could not move the football at the end of the game. They had an opportunity to go down and win the game. He could not move the football because of the Saints defense. And now I love watching. You know what they should do? Broussard should start watching Peyton Manning and Eli Manning and that whole broadcast. Maybe you can learn something about football.
I just want to clip the "I wonder why" and just use that as a drop. I might do that. Just every once in a while, just have the "I wonder why." I wonder why, but it's just so bad. The Chris Broussard thing is just so wrong. Such a bad mess up. And just because he messed up about the Bills. Like he messed up 2 teams. It wasn't just the Titans that he messed up. He messed up the Buffalo Bills and went to the AFC Championship game last year.
He was asleep.
Oh gosh. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and get to Tuesday sports trivia. This might be one of our bigger audiences we've ever had for sports trivia. So we would love to have all of you guys help us. We've got 10 NFL questions from 2000 to 2009. And so we're going to go through this. We got 10 questions of sports trivia. We've got 2 rules, right? 1, no Googling. 2, no texting or phoning a friend. If you have a friend next to you at the office or at work, whatever, you can absolutely ask them. So it is time for Tuesday sports trivia. But real quick, let me tell you guys about Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, where one 15-minute workout goes by quicker than sports trivia. Mandu.com, your first workout is absolutely free. It's full body electronic muscle stimulation, and it can help you achieve your fitness goals. It's done that for Zach and I. We've put on real functional strength and muscle mass. It targets that hard to burn body fat. You will get stronger, and it's 0 pressure on any of those old injuries or bad joints that you got. So Mandu.com, your first workout's free. And if you tell them A to Z Sports sent you, they'll take $100 off of your first month when you sign up. That's Mandu.com.
Also, this Sunday, we'll be live from Mill Creek Tap Room. Come out and hang out with us, drink some beer, have some burgers and fries. It is an unbelievable atmosphere as the Titans take on the Indianapolis Colts. Every away game, we are live from Mill Creek. Every home game, we're at the Mainstay. So get that right. Nick right. He won't be there, but you may be there on Sunday. Make sure you come in. It's going to be a great game. Big game for the Titans. That is for sure.
All right, Tuesday sports trivia. Zach, you said that we are doing 10 questions from the year 2000 to 2009 in the NFL. No Googling, no phoning or texting a friend. You can use people who you're actually in physical vicinity of. And we obviously have the chat here. So, Zach, in 4 weeks of this new setup, we've gone 7-3, 7-3, 7-3, and 7-3. So, we need to get better than that. Our goal is 75% for a 10-week stretch. So we've got some ground to make up. So let's go ahead and get this thing rolling.
All right, because I'm going to have to piece together 2 quizzes to get 10 questions because of some situational things. Now,
okay.
I think we can do well. We have a couple of softballs, but we've got some really tough ones at the same time. Do you want to start with a softball? Because we absolutely can.
It does not matter to me. Who
was the first overall pick in the 2009 NFL draft? And the funny part about this is one of the selections is Ryan Suckup, which I find hilarious.
Which he was the last pick in that draft.
Yeah. So Jason Smith, Ryan Suckup, Jake Long, or Matthew Stafford. So it's obviously between that last 2. Austin, I got a good feeling you can help us with this.
That is the Matthew Stafford draft, final A to Z. There you go.
We locking it in?
Final A to Z. Yep.
We can lock it in. Next question. Now, this is a little bit more difficult, possibly. Who had the most touchdowns in the 2006 NFL season? Was it LaDainian Tomlinson, Priest Holmes, Sean Alexander, or Vince Young? Now, this is tough because 2006,
that was LaDainian Tomlinson MVP. That was his MVP.
It was not Sean Alexander's MVP.
No, that was a couple years before. LaDainian Tomlinson won the MVP in 2006. So we just talked about this last week when we were talking about Derrick Henry. Because he had 28 touchdowns in that season. Rushing.
Okay. You want to lock that in?
Final A to Z. Now, the chat was a lot different. The chat was going LT, Alexander, or Priest Holmes. But it's definitely LT. He won in 06.
You're positive?
Yes.
All right, here's a tough one. In 2003, which team conceded the second lowest amount of points? New England, Tampa Bay, Miami, or the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, wait, read it one more time. I think I misunderstood the question.
In the 2003 regular season, which team conceded the second lowest amount of points?
And the options are New England.
The Patriots, the Buccaneers, the Dolphins, or the Cowboys?
So I'm going to say New England.
Second lowest is weird.
Well, let's think about it, because that was the Patriots won it 2 years before that. So that was the second Patriots Super Bowl.
Correct.
And it was the year after the Bucs won the Super Bowl with that defense. So Zach, did the Bucs have the number one defense in the year after they won the Super Bowl? Because they still had all those guys, right? Or did they have an
No,
exit
they
of
missed
talent?
the playoffs. They were 9-7.
So I mean, but they still have a good defense?
The only good memory of that season was they beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the opening game to they shut down the vet and opened up the link with a loss. They were not very good. So I don't know if they're in this conversation. What is the chat saying?
The chat's saying Cowboys or Patriots.
So yeah, I can eliminate the Buccaneers with my
Okay.
knowledge.
I don't remember the Dolphins being like a superb defense, but I guess that was like Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, maybe, but that was late for those guys, especially for Zach Thomas. And for like Sam Madison and those dudes, like it was kind of late for them.
Where do we want to go?
Man, I kind of feel like the Patriots, just because I know they had a great defense that helped them win the Super Bowl, the second Super Bowl.
All right.
So Patriots.
You want to lock it in?
Final A to Z.
All right, next question. Who was the 2004 NFL Comeback Player of the Year? Greg Ellis, Chad Pennington, Drew Brees, or John Kitna? My gut is it's Drew Brees, right?
Yeah. Is that too early?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because let's remember this. What was Nick Saban's first year at Alabama? 2006?
2007.
Was his first
I know
year at
that
Alabama.
for a fact.
Okay. So he was with the Dolphins for 2 years, right?
A year, and then he left.
2 seasons with the Dolphins. And he made the decision. He wanted Drew Brees, but the Dolphins did not sign off on him medically. And so they went with Culpepper. And so
it's got to be Drew Brees.
I think 2004 is a year early for Drew Brees. Because let's think about it. The 2004 draft was Phillip Rivers.
So it's either Drew Brees or Chad Pennington, in my opinion.
I think it's not Drew Brees, because I think Drew Brees played in 2004 and got hurt that year.
What is the chat saying? This is some help we need. Who was the 2004 NFL Comeback Player of the Year? Greg Ellis, Chad Pennington, Drew Brees, or John Kitna?
Or Chad Pennington is where the chat's at.
I think it's Chad Pennington. That was the year that the Dolphins went to the playoffs.
Well, let's go Chad Pennington.
They
Chad
lost
Pennington,
to the Ravens. I remember that game. Weird.
Chad Pennington, final A to Z. I just wanted to rule Drew Brees out.
The Dolphins were all white that game.
Chad Pennington.
Chad Pennington?
Yep.
All right. So we have answered 1, 2, 3, 4 questions.
Yes.
Next question. We head to Boston. Super Bowl, let's see, that is 42, was played in February 2008, following the end of the 2007 NFL regular season. Which newspaper notably began pre-selling the book 19-0, the historic championship season of New England's unbeatable Patriots, weeks before the Super Bowl had ever begun? Was it the Boston Globe, the South Boston Tribune, the Boston Herald, or the New York Post?
We're getting a lot of Boston Globe answers.
I mean, that makes the most sense, but that's a big gaffe.
That's a big. It's either the Globe and the Herald are the two things I've heard of.
Yeah, the South Boston Tribune. I don't even like that.
But it could be a small paper that messed it up, right?
But this sounds like a New York Post gaffe.
It does, doesn't it? But they were playing the Giants. So I don't know if that makes sense for the New York Post to do that when they were playing the Giants.
I think that's smart. So Boston Globe?
Yeah, Boston Globe.
Is that what the chat's saying?
The chat overwhelmingly is Boston Globe.
You want to lock it in?
Final A to Z. This is on the chat.
All right. 5 question. Here's question number 6. In the 2000 NFL season, Darren Bennett punted an average of 46.2 yards. Which team was he playing for? The Chargers, Colts, Vikings, or Falcons?
Never heard of her.
Chat, we need you. Darren Bennett averaged 46.2 yards per punt. Which team did he play for? Chargers, Colts, Vikings, or Falcons?
We get a lot of Chargers. A lot of Chargers.
Well, that's good.
Ronnie says Chargers, lock it in. I believe in our guy Ronnie. Final A to Z, Chargers.
Chargers is being locked in. All right. Next question. Well, this is two questions. This is back to back. This is going to be test our fortitude. Who was the highest scoring team of the 2000s? The Saints, the Patriots, the Colts, or the Rams?
The entire decade?
Yes.
It's got to be the Colts, right?
You would think so. The Saints scored a lot of points in the second half of the 2000s.
The Colts scored a lot of points for all years of the 2000s. It's got to be the Colts. The Patriots did not score a bunch of points until later 2000s.
I don't know. They scored.
It's got to be the Colts. It's got to be the Colts.
Yeah, I think it is the Colts. Was the chat saying that?
The chat's very much Colts heavy. And the Rams were great, and then they were bad.
You want to lock it in?
Final A to Z, Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, all the Marcus Pollard, Brandon Stokely, all those guys breaking records. Edge.
All right. Next up, who gave up the least points during the 2000s? The Steelers, Ravens, Bears, or Eagles?
I gotta think it's. I mean,
The
the
Steelers
Ravens.
or the Ravens?
The Ravens has got to be it because that's the entire era of Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, all those dudes. Right? The Steelers also had great defenses. Who were the options again?
The Steelers, Ravens, Bears, or Eagles?
Okay. I think it's got to be the Ravens. I think we need to go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Is that what the chat is saying?
The chat is definitely between Ravens or Steelers, but I think the Ravens has the most votes.
Okay, you want to lock it in?
Yeah, I mean, but the Bears had some good defenses too. They had like Brian Urlacher with Peanut Tillman,
Sexy Rexy,
Lance Briggs. So I still think it's Ravens.
Lock in.
Rob asked, "What chat am I looking at?" Rob, I'm looking at all 4 chats at the same time. That's what chat I'm looking at. So that's where I'm going to go with. I think we need to go Ravens.
All right. 2 more questions. Who is the only team to end the decade with a 500 record overall?
I mean, Jeff Fisher was with the Titans the entire time.
Unfortunately, the Titans are not one of the options.
Damn
This would
it.
be a good one. Falcons, Broncos, Jets, or Seahawks?
Not the Jets.
I kind of want to say the Broncos because they had good years and then they had bad years.
Yeah, I kind of feel you on that.
Or the Falcons.
The
Because they had
2000 I
Michael
don't-
Vick. Ooh, they had Michael Vick and then they didn't. Who's the only team to end the decade with a 500 overall record?
I feel like it's the Broncos, man. I just feel like the Broncos were always like in between 6-10 and 10-6. I mean, it's going to be a hell of a question for us to know, but I still like your Broncos gut. I don't have any. And Tim Tebow came after that, Jabu. Broncos QB through the 2000s was like Jake Plummer, Brian Greasy in the early years.
You want to lock it in?
Kyle Orton, Jay Cutler for a few years.
Sounds like 500 football.
Sounds like 500 football. Let's go. Let's go with the Denver Broncos. Final A to Z.
All right. Last question. How many ties were there during the 2000s? 1, 3, 0, or 2?
I'm going to say 3 because that was. Remember,
My
Donovan
gut is 2.
Donovan McNabb went basically the entire decade without knowing you could tie a game because then he did when he was with Washington. Because they changed it from 15-minute overtimes down to 10. I'm going to say 3. And I'm with Cam. I am not feeling good about this week. There's a lot of really tough ones.
I want to say 2. I think it's 2.
All right, then you can go with 2. You can lock it in if you feel that way. That's fine. I mean, I don't have a reason why I picked 3 other than a gut, but that's it.
I'm going to go 2, and I'm going to lock it in. Final
Right,
A
there
to
you
Z, 2.
So is that it? We done?
That's it.
Submit those answers.
Answers submitted.
All right.
Who's the first overall pick of the 2009 draft? We said Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
It is Matthew Stafford.
Ding.
The historic championship season, the New England's unbeatable Patriots, was pre-sold by the Boston Globe.
2-0.
Who had the most touchdowns in the 2006 NFL season? We said LaDainian Tomlinson. The answer is LaDainian Tomlinson.
3-0.
Who was the 2004 NFL Comeback Player of the Year? We said Chad Pennington in that Miami game, in that Miami season. But we Sabanized ourselves because the correct answer is Drew Brees.
3-1.
In 2003 regular season, which team conceded the second lowest amount of points? We said Tom Brady's New England Patriots. The problem is the New England Patriots conceded the lowest amount of points. The question was second lowest, and that went to the Dallas Cowboys.
3-2.
Ugh. In the 2000 NFL season, Darren Bennett punted an average of 46.2 yards. Which team did he play for? We said the San Diego Chargers. The correct answer is the San Diego Chargers.
4-2.
Next up.
Yeah, it's about to get rough.
Who's the only team to end the decade with a 500 overall record? We said the Denver Broncos. Man, 80 and 80 during the 2000s went to the New York Jets. Interesting.
It makes sense.
But who was the highest team or highest scoring team of the 2000s? We said the Colts. 427 points per season for the decade. Indianapolis Colts.
All right, so we're 5 and 3.
Who gave up the least amount of points during the 2000s?
We really
this
need
team
one.
gave up an average of 272 points per season. So that's a good discrepancy. Our answer was the Baltimore Ravens. The correct answer was the Ray Lewis-led Baltimore Ravens.
6 and 3. This is it. It comes down to the last question for us to remain at 7 and 3. I don't even remember which one this is.
Tie.
The ties. Damn it. This is on you.
Yeah, this is on me.
Did we miss it?
How many ties were there during the 2000s? We said 2. I said 2.
Zach said 2.
Yeah, I said 2. I did remember this one, Cincinnati and Philadelphia. I remembered that game. The other one was Atlanta and Pittsburgh. I actually remember that game. It was in Pittsburgh. The correct answer is 2.
Hey! 7 and 3. Well, look,
It's
these
better
are
than 6 and 4.
Yeah, these are tougher questions too. I like them, but they're really, I mean, I really, really appreciate the effort that we put in to get to 7 and 3 today. That was a big deal. So it's 5 weeks in a row of being 7 and 3. Bravo chat. Bravo Zach for the tiebreaker question in that one. And, the big deal, guys. I like that a lot. Good finish. Jarrell, you're right. Big time stuff. So 7 and 3, 5 straight weeks. We're halfway there. Now we just got to go 8 and 2 the rest of the way. That's all we got.
We got to shift.
Exactly. All right, guys. Great show today here on this Tuesday. Big Orange Podcast is out today with Zach Reagan and Charlie Burris. They've got former Vol and radio host Ramon Foster on today as the Vols are in the bye week. That's a great conversation to catch up. Buck Rising back tonight with A to Z Sports Primetime at 8 o'clock. More podcast conversation is out throughout the week as well. A to Z Sports Podcast Network. And so have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll check in with you guys tomorrow morning. Appreciate it.
Adios.